Secretary, would you like to call the roll, see who's here?
Yes, sir. Chairman Ken Osborne,
Yes?
Larry Rader,
Yes.
Mr. Scott Massey,
Here.
Mr. Mike O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mr. Art Hereford.
Here.
Thank you.
Very good. You have the minutes of the last meeting. You have instructions or changes?
I'd make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
I'll second.
Motion made that we approve the minutes as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Who made the motion?
That was Mike O'Donnell. I
Mike
need a
did.
second.
Who was this? Okay.
Okay, thank you. That would have been Mike. No.
Larry.
sorry, Larry. Thank you.
Okay. Old business,
There was no old
None.
business, no.
new business.
All right. Gotta go in a public hearing.
You got it, right?
So moved.
Have a second. All in favor, going in public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. You're up.
I didn't get who made that motion and seconded.
Who motioned to go in a public hearing?
Mike did, I seconded.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. In you guys' package, you should have received an application from Michael Wartzel for a variance request for the address at 825 West 4th Street. I don't know if you guys had time to actually go out there and look at that lot. That is a vacant lot. It is a corner lot. It has double frontage. It has frontage off of Godfrey Street and frontage off of 4th Street. Basically, with a double frontage lot, you're required to have 25-foot setback off of 4th and 25-foot setback off of Godfrey. And then the southern portion of the lot is 7-foot setback, and to the east is 7-foot setback. Mr. Wartzel is proposing to build a residential structure on that property. In your package, you should have received a document showing the layout of the structure. On that lot, to the western property line, he's proposing to have a 12-foot setback on the northern portion, and just on the southern portion of the property of the structure, he's proposing to have a 1.6'9" setback as opposed to the 25-foot setback. I had also, placed a map in front of you guys to illustrate, just to give you an idea of the layout of the land. That is a 70-foot right-of-way as per, shown on the proposed plot plan. And if you look at the numbers starting from the top, you all's got this in front of you. The top number, these are approximate numbers. The top number, 32 feet, that is the show where the structure will be from the back of the curb to the beginning of the structure itself on the northern portion. And then the secondary number, the 12-foot number, is where the actual edge of the property will be from the property line. If you go down to the middle number, which is 2 feet, and actually they're asking for like 1.69 setback. That is where the southern portion of the building is going to be. As you can see, it's going to be closer to the property line. And also, it will be roughly 22 feet away from the back of the curve. And then the bottom number is just the width of the street. Again, I said that's a 7-foot right-of-way. If you look up to the northern portion of that diagram, you can see where the existing sidewalk lines up with the property line. So, talking to city staff, there were some concerns of the sidewalk being too close to the property line or to the structure itself. So, like I said, applicant Michael Wartz was asking for a variance for that particular property, which is, like I said, is a current vacant lot. I'd also provided you guys with city staff's recommendation on this variance request. Basically, staff is recommending approval of the variance request for 825 West 4th Street if the property owner realigns the proposed structure to be more than or match the 12-foot setback consistently. So basically, you know, instead of having that 12-foot in one section and less than 2 feet in the other, you know, if you could be consistent and make it 12-foot on the western property line, the city be more willing to make that recommendation, but it's ultimately the responsibility of the board to approve it. And also, another condition would be to, while you're constructing the property, that they install the sidewalks just on the Godfrey side. That way it's better to align it and get it in place now while the structure is being built, as opposed to building a structure, then the city come back later and try to put those sidewalks in, and then you got the sidewalks too close to the structure. I'm quite sure if you're building a house, you don't want nobody walking down the public sidewalk and being within 2 feet of looking in your house or something like that. So that is staff's recommendation. I'm open to any questions for myself, and Mr. Warser is here as well.
What was the distance from the back?
From the back of the curb to the structure,
Yeah.
Roughly 23 feet.
No, down at the south end.
Did I answer your question?
If you see that.
Yeah, I saw that back here.
Oh, is that back there?
You say it's seven,
He's 7-foot setback because it's a corner lot and it's double frontage, so therefore he has frontage off of 4th Street. He was required to meet the 25-foot setback, and they're required to meet the 25-foot setback off of Godfrey Street. But if you look at the next house to the right, the front and rear will be 25 foot off the 4th Street and 25 feet off basically the alley.
well, that's what I was.
Yeah, and then on the
Put that
side,
7 foot there, and he's gonna have a building 7 foot from the property.
yes.
And that's acceptable to staff?
Yes, that's because it's a double frontage lot. I'll bring this up here. You know, like when I say double frontage, 25 feet this way, so it's required to make that 25 foot right there. And it's also required right here, so you got front, side, rear. I mean, side, but it's rear.
It's rear?
Yeah, you know, like if you look at this next lot, say if you were building here, you gotta be 25 feet here, 25 feet here, you got 7 feet between the side yards, so therefore you got 14 feet between the properties. Cause this is a corner lot, so it's sort of turned.
Yeah, it's kind of, that dotted line is just where the 25-foot setback would be. It's a little bit misleading. See that on there, Tim? See the dotted line?
Right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just showing where it would be if you
Yeah.
was looking at a 25-foot setback.
Yep.
Where's the entrance to the house?
Is this house gonna be fronting off of 4th Street or Godfrey?
It's the north-south route.
So it'll be 4th Street. Okay. So the front door is gonna be off of 4th Street.
And you're recommending that the setback be 12 foot, consistent all
Yes.
on the west side?
Yes, that way you have some wiggle room as far as installing the sidewalks.
So the projection there, if it goes out to 1.69 would be eliminated and go back to 12.8.
Yes.
Okay. And 7 foot on the east and 25 foot on the north.
Yes.
Okay.
And the sidewalk sits within that 12 foot.
Yes, but you have more wiggle room with that 12 foot as opposed to that 2 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you look at this picture right here, you can see the sidewalks right there, basically adjacent to the property line.
So the staff recommendation is approve with the 12.08 setback on the west side.
Yes, and then also that during the construction of the home, that the sidewalks be installed, because it'd be easier to install them as the home is being constructed, as opposed to building the home and then trying to come back later and try to figure out, you know, where to put them at.
Is there an existing sidewalk on the north?
Yes.
So that, does that need to be replaced, or is it?
Eventually, on the 4th Street, there's a streetscapes, it's on the list, the city list to replace. So if the homeowner could take care of the sidewalks on Godfrey, the city would eventually take care of they're gonna do 4th Street.
Was the 1.69 designed to accommodate a garage? Is that the reason for that?
Yeah, it's a two-car garage.
So would you then be proposing to put one on the back, on the south end of the house?
I need to take a look at that 12-foot setback to determine how that's gonna impact the layout of the house, and we may have to adjust the garage to accommodate that, but that's something that I need to look at.
Could you state your name for the record?
For the record, Michael Worstel.
Thank you.
Scott, any questions?
I don't have any questions, but just for clarity, if you look at that, it has a 70-foot road right of way, and this is in the older part of town, but you see quite a bit of that. The right of ways now that we require in residential districts is 50 feet, okay? So if you look and you do a little figuring on a 50-foot right of way, you basically, there's 20 feet, there's a 20 foot, so take 10 foot and give them 10 foot, okay, as a new, for the new right of way, rule. And actually going and look at that, a 13-foot variance would set them at a 25-foot setback. Not, a 13-foot variance would set them at a 25-foot setback, because they have 12 foot at the top, and take off down basically the garage where it protrudes out. They have 12 foot at the top, 12.08, and you add a 13-foot variance, that makes it 25 foot based on a 50-foot road.
Right, yeah.
So, and if you go look at that out there, the pavement from back of the curb to back of the curb is 30 feet, okay? So there's 30 feet of road, there's 20 foot on the east and 20 foot on the west of basically grass. Given the satisfaction of a 50-foot road right of way, which we have done that in the past, at other places where they've tried to build on a corner lot, then it would really make sense to cut off the garage and just be a 13-foot variance all the way through, and you just build on that, basically build on that 12 foot, just make it even 12 foot.
So just grant the 12-foot variance and
It'd actually be a 13-foot.
13.
But it would make sense, to me, it would make sense to do that. That would allow a structure to be built there, and it would be equal to other housing construction around town. And if you look within the neighborhood, on both sides, it was fairly much in line with the existing on across the street and up on 3rd Street. And it would make sense looking at the new houses that's been built in the next block down the street as to the setbacks that they actually have. So the alignment would look, I do believe in my own mind with the garage on there, it's going to move it way out too close to the street and the building. Number two, I don't think it's probably would be right to do that in comparison to other houses that's been built. And
Would
they actually made it fit the property.
Would the garage entrance be to the west or the south?
Right now, I think we have it towards the west.
On Godfrey.
Yeah, it doesn't give a lot of driveway.
No, then the other concern is too, is, you know, parking, you know, average vehicle's 20 foot long, and you gotta stick it in the right of way blocking sidewalk.
And I don't know what utilities are in there. I know there's a sewer, because there's a manhole right there, right at the.
Yeah, edge of the
At the
sidewalk, yeah.
So I literally don't know what utilities run down Godfrey Street. That's not on here, so, but I do see that in the future, or when a house is built there with the sidewalks along Godfrey and any utilities, the house needs to be set back. We don't want the sidewalk right up next to the house
Yeah.
or the street, either one. That's the way I look at it, that's what I mean.
You understand what we're talking about?
Yes. No.
The shed to the south, is that to be removed, or is that what it's?
I think we're gonna remove that.
So if you put the garage on the back, then will your entrance be off the alley or off the street?
That's actually kind of what I'm thinking about right now, is if we can swing that drive, into that alley and then onto the property that way. And that would accommodate a longer driveway, and also keep it off Godfrey.
Right.
Have any problem with that?
No, no, I mean, you can access an accessory structure with detached garage off the alley. That, like you said, it'd probably work better for you, you probably get a bigger driveway, it'll be less, you'd be off the street, off Godfrey.
Is there an issue with the trees on the east side?
It didn't look like there was. There's, trees, I think, on the north side and the east side. There's maybe actually on the neighbor's property.
Make motion we approve. Is that right?
Make a motion to go out of public hearing first. Yeah, go out of public hearing first.
Have a motion to go out of public hearing? So moved. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Approved. Now, how you want to state the motion so that you understand, or he understands?
It would be like a motion to grant the variance under the conditions of having a 13-foot setback off in Godfrey, be consistent with the structure, and with the condition that the homeowner constructs the sidewalks during the construction of the home on Godfrey from the length of the property.
Somebody want to make that motion?
I'll make it.
Do I have a second?
Who was the second, please? That was Larry and Art?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you.
All right, good.
Okay, solve your problem.
And if you want a copy of the minutes once they're, well, they have to be approved first. But we can, once they're approved by the board, we can get you a copy. If you got any questions, move forward.
Okay.
All right. You don't have to stay for the whole
Can I
meeting.
get a copy of the, plot?
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, these are yours. All right. If you got any questions,
You guys. The scale of bottom drawing.
yeah.
Was that just trying to catch us?
Yeah, no.
It actually should be 12.5 feet equals, 3/8 inch. That's what it is.
Okay,
Gotta make a motion to go on public hearing for the next case.
everybody got the desk cleared? piece of business is the Cameron Co-op. Do I hear a motion to go into public hearing?
I'll make a motion to a public hearing.
Do I have a second? Second it.
Okay.
Motion made and seconded, we go into public hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, also in you guys' package, you should have received some information from, applicant, Cameron Co-op Elevator, for 629 West Second Street. They are requesting a height variance for 2 new, grade bins. And that memo that I handed out to you guys, I believe they got a variance, granted back in 2019, at that time, to install 4 new grain bins, just west of their current operations. This is the same type of grain bins that they're gonna be installing. You guys should have a site plan in your packet, basically showing the location of the grain bins, where they're gonna be, situated on the property. Again, like I said, these are the same type of grain bins, they're asking for height variance. I got a representative from Cameron Co-op, Cody's here to speak or answer any questions that you may have. City staff has no problems with it. I mean, it's the same typical grain bins.
Any way I can get rid of them?
Yeah. They
They're
would give you,
citizens would like to speak.
yes.
Probably looks different when we did this the first time. It looks a little different than when we did this the first time. The property.
He said the property looks a little bit different than how we did it the first time.
Yeah. It's gonna be at the, east end, this two additions.
West end.
Yes. You're gonna fill a hole on the east end, I guess.
We don't have any plans right now for the east end. Snyder and Associates kind of want to see that, left open for watershed. I don't know if that's a correct term.
Figured.
Water retention.
Water retention, sorry.
Cody, say your name.
Cody Sloan, General Manager, Cameron Co-op.
Thank you.
Sorry.
You're fine.
Is that, area where the detention basin is, proposed, will that be reworked with, configuration you have here?
There's, that detention basin will not be affected in any way. It won't, Snyder and Associates said there's nothing we need to do to rework that or do anything. The grain bins are going on the west side. They didn't see any kind of additional water
Yeah.
requirements. So,
And we've been in contact with Snyder and Associates, John Dubin. If there's nothing needed, we probably ask for like a email or a letter stating that, there's no need to resubmit for another stormwater plan.
well, they got you a stormwater plan, right?
For original stuff, yeah.
Anyone have any questions?
I would like to point out a couple of things out of their questions. They put up the 4 elevators and.
State your name is.
Ed Parsons, Cameron, Missouri, I live at 810 West Second. Actually, the first question I have is, what is the exact location proposed for these 2 new elevators? Is that gonna be right in front of my house?
That's what it is. These are the existing 4 right here.
Uh-huh.
And those are the 2 right here.
Okay. Yeah. Right here. Okay. A couple of things I'd like to point out is, if you drive down Second Street at 2:30 in the afternoon, that's all shaded now, at 2:30 in the afternoon. I feel like a height variance on this would be a tough situation because, winter weather is coming on. And when all you have is shade at 2:30 in the afternoon, how's that road gonna melt? City of Cameron can't get it all off of there. I mean, you're gonna have some ice. And at 2:30 in the afternoon, you got a lot of 4th Street now that's not gonna be, or 2nd Street now that's not gonna be able to melt because of all that shade from them tall elevators. Another thing I'd like to point out is for 30 years or so, I've been using a TV antenna. And, Now that they've got this digital TV, I get 60 channels. That's great to me. That's a lot of channels for free TV. Well, what's gonna happen when you put that granny elevator up? Now you're blocking my line of sight. The government says I have a right to free TV. But if you allow this height variance, you're pretty much saying the government don't matter. You're allowing me to block TV. Now I don't have free TV, you're gonna make me buy cable. That's not right. So I'd like for you to consider these factors in your height variation request. That's all I have to say.
You live on,
I live at 810 West Second Street.
across the street.
Right across the street from the concrete plant, right where they'd like to put the 2 more elevators. And this is gonna be a problem, because when I lose my TV, I'm gonna lose my cool, and I'm probably gonna go hire the same lawyer Joe Gilbert's hired. Okay? It's gonna be a problem. I have a right to that free TV. When they allow that tall granny elevator, now you're blocking my line of sight. I can't jump over that with my antenna, and I shouldn't have to pay $5,000 to raise it up over those elevators.
Okay. Any other comments? What's the height variance that's being changed? How much?
54 feet.
Anybody have any questions?
Where on the map is his line?
It says, right here, this area.
On the north side of Second Street?
Yeah, north side of Second.
So really, the variance is only 9 feet.
Yeah.
It's 45 is legal.
45, it's 54-foot variance goes along with it.
Another 9 feet, so there's all the variances for.
Yes.
The height, there's a height restriction, it's up to 45 feet.
Right.
They're asking to build close to 100 feet, so there's 54 feet. Yeah.
If you want exact numbers, I ballparked it for you yesterday, Keith finally got back with me. The very peak height of that bend will be 78 foot tall. There's a catwalk leading to that that's a little taller, so the very peak height of anything we would want to build would be 83 foot. So 83 minus 45 would be.
I took a picture of all that shade from those 4 new elevators. I'd like for you to see this, the 2 coding there. Let me get to my photos here. There we go.
Did you guys want to see these photos?
2:30 in the afternoon, and it's shaded to be had.
Did you guys want to see this?
Sure.
Mike, I know you've run down the street and seen that. The sun was out fully that day, no clouds in the sky.
This is at the existing beam, or at that mature.
If the 4 new ones, the newest ones, is where I took those pictures. I did take pictures of the other parts of it, but what I was looking at there was all the corn on the ground the last time we met. Oh yeah, we keep it clean, we don't have messes, but yet there's corn on the ground everywhere. I had to pull corn out of my front yard this year. Really? You know, I know that's not part of the variance.
You know, this is just, we gotta go through the process first of the variance. So, what Mike had asked me about, this is just requesting the variance, but it still would have to go back before planning and zoning for site approval. Site plan revision, yeah. Yep.
Any other comments? Any other questions?
How high is your antenna off the ground?
Oh, about 20 feet. Works real good right there, I get 60 channels, no problem. Been doing this for a long time. Larry, you know good as well, I used to be in that business. I know what I'm doing, and I know what I'm talking about. You put
Mike's motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Do I have a motion that we grant the variance?
I'll make a motion that we grant the variance as requested.
Second,
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Nobody yet.
Okay,
Mike will done.
so that was Larry and Mike?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, Scotty.
Scott.
Made the motion.
Scotty and, Mike.
Scotty and Mike.
Yep.
so you understand the motion will be, has been, or will be to grant the variance like we have done before on the others, to the same height. All those in favor of granting the variance, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried.
One abstention.
One abstention. Okay. Anything else on your docket?
Do I need to record the abstention?
Yes.
Who abstained?
Art.
Arthur, thank you. Thank you.
Nothing else?
No, we got, just, been busy with, a lot of commercial construction here in town. We hired 2 new, city deputy inspectors, Steve Lupo and, Brent O'Connell. They're working under, Paul Beckwith, who's gonna be retired in April. But we've been pretty busy as far as commercial development, with the dispensary cultivation, you know, the truck stop, travel store, I should say. You know, we had, you know, Steve LeBrand open up his new operations, and we had new, ribbon cuttings for new businesses here in town, so it's been pretty busy. Got the swimming pool going along, we broke ground on the, new city park, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, so that's gonna be getting underway. So we've been pretty busy.
Schools winding down a little bit.
Yeah, yep. They've been doing, pretty good as far as moving along. I drove past there, I think last week and was looking at that construction site, so.
Your 2 new guys are there full-time?
Yes, sir, they are full-time. One is from Alaska, Steve Lupo, and Brent O'Connell was, I believe, was originally from Cameron, moved away for a little bit, came back, so. They have, construction experience. Brent O'Connell is the architect, and, Steve Lupo has, you know, been in the military, he's around construction, project management and all that.
We have some various new houses being worked on now, or
In Western Estates,
Western
yes,
Estates.
yes, we do. And we've also torn down, when we tore down the house on that 5th and Locust through our demolition program. You know, it was 100% demolition, so the city's gonna get a list together, put houses out for bid for, developers or contractors to bid on to build a single-family home.
So does this mean that the variance was approved?
Yes,
So you don't care about the residents in Cameron?
we're trying to follow the rules best we can.
By the way, I talked to DNR today about the corn crop on the ground. Have a nice night.
You too.
I was building it. That's all I got.
Okay?
I got one thing, Mr. Chairman. I would like the record to show that the evidence that was shown to the board of the shade was not in the area of concern that we actually looked at tonight. Could you hear me?
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Okay, I would like the record to show
Yes,
that the evidence of the shade of the grain bins that was shown to this board tonight was not the area that this board considered for the height variance.
It was a different section of the street, because it was different bins.
What we were shown was the area of the first existing site that Co-op had, which originally, I actually originally called Vinda, I guess. But it was at the corner of, on the west side of Harris and Second Street is the pictures that we was shown tonight. The area of concern that we talked about tonight.
You were
was
shown
that-
Second and Harris? You were shown Second and Harris?
We was shown to the east of Second and Harris, and the area that we was considered was west of Second and Harris.
The affected area was to the west of Second.
Correct.
Got it, I
Got
have it in
it?
minutes.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you.
So his home then would be east of Second Street, is that correct?
No, his home is west of Second Street. It's down at, what about, Nettleton, I think. I believe that's Nettleton, Second and Nettleton, if I remember rightly. It's on the corner, correct?
He's a lot from me.
Yeah. So, and he's off of Second Street, would I be
Yeah.
correct?
I'm Third and Mead, and he's Second Nettleton, so
Yeah.
he's one block down and one
Yeah,
block over.
Right, okay, yeah. At least we get that,
I did.
yeah.
The minutes would reflect, Mike O'Donnell would like it on record that the evidence of shade shown to this board in photographs this evening was not the same area. The board was shown to the east of Second and Harris. The affected area is actually to the west of Second and Harris.
Correct.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, or is that like, am I out of order? Have you guys, I wanna know, have you guys heard any, other than that, have you heard any complaints, have you heard any issues? We feel like we're doing a good job keeping stuff clean and keeping dust down, but I wanna know, like, I wanna be a good neighbor. Have you guys heard of any legitimate complaints or concerns?
When
I
we-
live a block away from there, and it looks clean to me.
I know when we dump trucks, it's quick and it's quiet, and especially compared to some of our older facilities. I wish all of our bins were that good, but we're trying our best, and if you guys ever, anyone, Tim.
I've
ever
heard
hear
no
any-
noise or
we've-
dust.
I haven't had one person walk in my office to complain yet, so, but that doesn't mean there's not complaints out
And we didn't have very much rebuttal the first time. Now, you're gonna build a fence along that south side of the road, of your road?
South, well, we own, we work on it, but we could.
Well, I read somewhere there's supposed to be a,
I thought that was on the original site plan that you had to build. Anytime a commercial business abuts a residential, you have to put up a privacy
On the
fence.
south side,
yeah.
we talked about that, is that
Yeah,
something we need to do?
yeah, I think that was on the original plan.
Okay,
I saw that somewhere, you know, that was supposed to
okay,
be.
yeah, we can work on that. We had talked about it, but lad, I'm not trying to throw Paul under the bus, cause I love Paul, but he told me that we kind of checked all the boxes and we were good to go, but if that's something we still need to
Yeah,
do.
I think I do remember that. Only complaints that I ever, I would say complaints, is when we put the signs out there. You know, people, I think at least 2 people contacted me and asked me what was those signs for. One person did complain about, because that's such a large section, you know, adding another sign west of Second and Harris, so the people down there are aware of what's going on.
Just another sign to
yeah.
advertise it.
I would comment that the way the property is maintained appears to be real good. I like it. But as I looked at it this afternoon, I thought the height is for, does have some effect on the area. It does change the landscape a little bit.
Cody, I got one question. This has nothing to do really with the variance and all of it. I grew up at Cornhill and Pine. Mike was down the street. When we were young, there was pigeons everywhere, there and down around our house and all. What happened to all of them? You don't see them anymore. Something happened good.
I'm gonna be arrogant and I'm gonna say something and I hope it doesn't bite me in the butt. I've got a really, really good crew and we spill grain all the time when we get it picked up. In fact, I was told
And I didn't know
about,
whether it was, when the old MFA was there, my mother even worked there as secretary. I think there was more open grain storage, just in wooden,
oh, there are
Pins
pictures
within the
everywhere,
building and
but,
everything,
we,
but-
like I said, I apologize, it sounds arrogant, but we've got a heck of a staff.
it's
and,
sure quite different.
They
You
keep
would
stuff
think it
pretty
would have
clean.
been from 50, 60 years ago, anything like that.
I was actually, someone, I think a board member, got on to me a little bit. There was a little bit of corn that had been spilled down there, and I hadn't been down there. Sometimes I'll go a week without going down there. I get locked in my office doing stuff, and I drove down there, and yep, he was right, and I sent out a text, and within 2 hours, we had it cleaned up. So our guys do a pretty good job of keeping things clean. I'm not saying we're perfect. Don't come to me in a year after you see a little corn and say, you told me, but we do our best.
And you are using your own road, you're not using Second Street.
Correct, yeah. I was getting ready to say the only time we use Second Street, but I had Second mixed up with Harris. We use Harris to cross over, we never use Second Street. Not from Harris west, we don't.
And they, I mean.
We can't, I mean, that entrance has been destroyed by Duffy. So we can't come off of that new property onto Second, it's not possible.
You guys weren't there, cause we did the site plan, through planning and zoning, and there was a lot of comments and a lot of concerns and a lot of considerations at that meeting, but, some of the things that was discussed was the sound, the noise, from the fans. Some of it was from the dust of the dump, and those type of things. But as it was explained to the board and those individuals that night, the fans that they use now is lower RPM and higher CFM. Their grain dump is bell operated now versus augers, which is very fast. They keep it all right down in the bottom, so as it goes out, it goes up. So you don't have that holding capacity and that running. And literally, from a personal standpoint, I have been by there. I do drive by there quite frequently because that's the way I drive cars, is through there. I see a lot of trucks dumping, lined up, and that type of thing various times. You don't see any dust when they're dumping, and I'm there when they're dumping. And you don't see any dust, and when the fans are running, you cannot hear those fan motors. They are not anyways near like the ones that some of their original places, just to kind of give you an
And
idea.
the other thing about that dump, I don't know if this was brought up at planning and zoning, but the other thing about that dump is we don't take wet corn. We do in our other dump, but those 4 bins, we don't take wet corn. It's gotta be 16 or lower. And if we get 16 in, it's usually followed by 5 loads of 14, 5, or 15. Long story short, we don't need those fans very often. So, yeah, and it's been good, knock on wood. We've been real happy. Hopefully most of the neighbors have been happy, and most of the concern that night I felt was dust and noise related, and hopefully there hasn't been much of that. And now we're talking about shade and TV service, but we're moving on to something else. But yeah, I just, again, if you guys hear of any complaints, hear of anything we need to do different in any of the facilities, let me know. I want to be a good neighbor, so.
Anything coming up?
No, that's all the variance requests I've had.
I was looking for you, and you were already sitting down. I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
No.
So moved.
He second.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none.
Who seconded, please? Okay, thank you.
We're gonna have to move you closer.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, thank you guys.
Thank you.